Welcome to Central News for Thursday, 20th of June. I'm Amy Forrest. In today's news, coast careers from around the region will come together to take place in a planting day, which will include the planting of the 1 millionth plant. The public is invited to bring along a spade and join them. The Coast Care program is a community partnership program where volunteers work together to re-establish the function of their beaches and dunes by undertaking planting and restoration work. Amy Greaves, Land Management Officer, Bay of Plenty Regional Council, says all are welcome to the event and to join Coast Care.
An exciting event, Hilary. It's the planting of the 1 millionth Coast Care plant. It's on this Sunday, the 23rd of June, opposite 50 Marine Parade, and we're hoping to plant over 4,500 dune plants.
The Young Innovator Awards challenge young people to think creatively and to come up with innovative ideas for the design of a product or service. In previous years, the awards have been open to secondary school students, but this year there is a new Young Professionals category for a person under 40 that lives in Tauranga or the Western Bay of Plenty to enter to win $2,000 cash. Timothy of Locus Research says the new category will create a whole different dynamic for the awards.
To enter, you've got to register through the Young Innovator Awards site, so that's yia.co.nz, and you can register there. And then the templates for your entry is very simple. It's 4 A3 boards. You can download, print them out, and either do them yourself or use them in a program of your choice. Those can be submitted digitally through to... and then they all have to be submitted by the 4th of July, so it's coming up pretty quickly, but still plenty of time for people to get their ideas done.
Labor Social Development and Children's spokesperson Jacinda Ardern says the recent Food in Schools initiative is a positive step, but questions whether it can help communities like Tauranga in the long term. In Tauranga yesterday, as part of a whirlwind tour to the city, the opposition spokesperson met with local community groups, including Tauranga Community Food Bank Trust, Homes for Hope and Women's Refuge, to discuss issues surrounding poverty and the 270,000 Kiwi children living in such conditions. With a number of Tauranga schools using the government's Kickstart breakfast program, Jacinda says Labor fully supports the initiative, but is wary it is a short-term solution. She believes the answer instead lies in giving parents the skills and means to support their families. Now for our region's weather. Hamilton tomorrow, the showers slightly ease for you with a high of 11 and a low of 5. And Tauranga, fine spells for you with just a few showers and winds tending southwest. A high of 13 and a low of 6. Just ahead, Mayor Ross Patterson. Welcome to Central News on TV Central. The local alcohol policy has been drafted, which may see bars opening hours extended to 3 a.m. across the wider Western Bay of Plenty. Hilary spoke with Mayor Ross Patterson about the policy.
So what are the proposed changes to opening hours in the wider Western Bay of Plenty area?
Mainly the opening and closing times has been the main changes. That's with the off licences, that's the bottle stores and the supermarkets, 7 o'clock to 9. With the likes of the bars and the taverns, we've left that at the 8 o'clock, which is the default start national-wide, through till 3 o'clock in the morning.
What is the one door policy that you guys are putting through?
We've never had a one-way door policy before. However, the submissions that we received said that they thought it was a good idea, so we have put it in place. It will be 1 hour before 3 o'clock, the one-way door policy will start. That will mean that you cannot enter any premises after the 2 o'clock, and if you leave it, then that's your finish for the night in the situations around town.
What was the process for making these decisions?
Very big process. We went out and talked to all our residents and ratepayers. We got 800 submissions back in. That was sub-regional wide. We have talked to both our local health department and the police, and we've done quite a lot of research between the two councils on what we have out there in the way of liquor outlets and what we have in the industry at large. So we have a very good base to work from.
Will this impact on CBD drinkers?
Not a lot. CBD hours haven't changed a lot. The only impact there or change will be the one-way door policy.
Do you think that this will try to stop those mount drinkers migrating into the city?
That is the reason why both in the rural and in the commercial and CBD we've stayed with the one time to stop migration. We don't think it's a good policy to have different closing hours in different areas and have people driving on the roads to get to the latest bar that's open.
There was an alcohol survey at the beginning of the year that you mentioned. What were the main concerns that were made?
Now, out of those 800 submissions, we found that there was a very strong message that they felt the liquor outlets were too many. That's the bottle stores. And it was more so in the rural areas than in the CBD. There were also some thoughts and problems about locations of those liquor outlets, and they didn't want them anywhere near schools. So they've asked for a distance of separation and the one-way door policy.
So what is that distance that alcohol off-licence stores will have to be from schools?
We're looking at 500 metres, and in some places, in some rural areas, it's rural towns, that may mean that you can't get too many more liquor licences in.
So you guys are going to act on that. Were there any other submissions that the council will choose to act on?
Yes, we are. All those suggestions that were made we're bringing into our policies.
The police actually opposed the decision not to make any changes on industrial areas and bars and that. Will you look at that before the final draft is put through?
There is another 2 stages to go through. This is a joint committee between the 2 councils. We're in the working party stage, so we will go back to a final meeting with those joint committees to get a position, and then it needs to flow back to the individual councils, so there could be changes. It's quite possible.
This is a unique policy that, with you and the Tauranga City Council. Why was it decided to join forces on this one?
Well, really, people don't work out where Western Bay starts and stops or Tauranga starts and stops. They travel into work, they travel in for their entertainment. We felt that we needed a joint policy for consistency and just to keep it clear for people of what the policies were in different areas, make it fairly simple.
Why is this policy being fast-tracked?
Well, it's not really being fast-tracked. There are actually some councils that already have policies in place. We have taken a process that will move us through to a new policy in about October, November. We could have let it wait until after the election, but we just decided to work through.
Some people are saying that these longer opening hours will actually have a negative impact on our drinking culture. Will you address that before the final draft is put through?
Well, we actually think it's the other way around. We think that there's alcohol harm out there at the moment, and we are looking to address that side of it and to try to have safer communities and look after people in their entertainment and in their drinking habits.
So what is happening with the final annual plan?
We have nailed our final annual plan down. We will be ratifying it on the 28th of June. It is very close to the article that we took out in the first place, looking at about a 5.2% total take-up. But one of the main areas of action that we will have in the next 12 months will be at Waihi Beach on stormwater.
So what are some of the specifics of Waihi and those stormwater?
Well, Waihi Beach is an area behind Sandhills and has a flood zone problem. There has been building within flood zones, and we have had some very heavy rainfalls this year that have accentuated the problem. We are getting houses that are getting flooded, sometimes up to 2 times a year.
And what are some of those short-term projects?
Well, in the short term, we are going to do about 8 or 9 projects, about $1 million worth of work in the first year. And it's just making the asset that we have at the moment work better and just dealing with small problems. We're then going back to talk to the community how we will fund the years 2 to 5, because the ongoing work could be up to $12 million worth. That sort of discussion needs to be had with the community and take us through a funding plan and how we're going to deal with it and who's going to pay.
Next week, Hillary speaks with Mayor Stuart Crosby and the police about the policy. Up next, Women's Refuge Awareness Month. Welcome back. Domestic violence is the greatest social problem facing New Zealand women today. The month of July is Women's Refuge Awareness Month, so we caught up with Angela and Margie to find out how you can get involved and join the fight against domestic violence. Welcome to the studio, ladies. Now, Margie, tell me, first of all, what is Women's Refuge Awareness Month all about?
Because there are so many women who are silenced, because of intimidation, violence, and abuse, we come up with, the Awareness Month to emphasize specifically for this year about the crisis line services that a lot of women's refuges provide. As one father of a victim said, one call can save a life.
Wow. Okay. So, Angela, tell me about some of the things that will be happening around our region.
Well, this year, Shakti and Tauranga Women's Refuge, we're going to be working really closely together. We have a week planned, and of course it is the month, but the week that we're planning to deliver is from the 15th to the 22nd of July. So Tuesday, we're going to be hopefully collecting out with our buckets. The site still has not yet been arranged, but we're hoping to be in one of the malls perhaps. On Wednesday, Tauranga Women's Refuge will be at Red Square. We hope to have the roller derby girls there collecting for us, and Shakti will be collecting out at Mount Maunganui. Thursday we'll be going in with our buckets, shaking and going through all of our government agencies and a lot of our big offices, so that includes the council as well. Friday we will be preparing for our large monster garage sale that Shakti and Tauranga Women's Refuge will be running on Saturday. So those are the things that we're planning.
Wow, so it sounds like a massive amount of planning that's gone into all of this.
Yes.
So tell me, what are the facts? How many women experience domestic violence in their lifetime?
1 in 3 women New Zealanders, or 1 in 3 New Zealanders, accordingly will experience some form of physical or psychological abuse in their lifetime. So it's huge. Yeah.
So it's affecting so many women in our country. So Angela, can you tell me about the services that you provide at Tauranga Women's Refuge?
So we have a number of services. We run, of course, our Safe House, which provides safety for our women and children who are fleeing from domestic violence. So that's one of our key services. We also have a community social worker who works with those women and children who choose not to come into the Safe House or for whatever reason don't need to come into the Safe House but still need support. We also have a child advocate as well who facilitates our domestic violence programs for children. So we have, as much as possible, a wraparound. We do a lot of referrals outwards to many of our services in the community as well.
And Margie, you are the coordinator of the Shakti Women's Group. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, our organization provides very similar services that of the mainstream women's refuges, but specifically for Asian, African, Middle Eastern women and children victims of domestic violence.
Now, Margie, you're the coordinator of the Shakti Women's Group. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Our services are very similar to that of the mainstream women's refuges, but we operate a little bit differently. We work a little bit differently because of the nature of the cases that we work with. Aside from the common forms of abuse, we also deal with cases involving dowry abuse, forced marriage, underage marriage, forced and underage marriage, and also the use of immigration as a tool for power and control. And marital rape is very common in all our cases.
Okay.
And we are absolutely reliant on Shakti to support these women and children because there are so many different social needs for these women, and we're not the experts.
Okay. Now, what are some of the danger signs that we should look for in a violent relationship?
I guess when we look at domestic violence, we consider it around a concept known as power and control. So power and control can be physical violence, and so obviously a lot of people are aware when they are hit or pushed or slapped or those things that there is something wrong. But we're also looking at a whole pile of control which occurs. So for example, financial abuse, the being forced to work or being forced to stay at home, not having access or making the decisions around finances, the intimidation and threats, the constant abuse of and degrading of women and children. So those things just build. So when we have many women who present who've said, but I've only ever been hit once, or I've only ever been pushed, or he's not violent and he's a good father, and those things. And then we start to explore a little bit more, and it talks, and many women talk about a systematic degradation of their rights and being treated in a way that actually makes them feel less. Yeah.
In a lot of ethnic families, especially ethnic women, sometimes they will not recognize that they are in an abusive relationship or somebody's abusing them, because sometimes it has been normalized. So I usually tell them that if you fear, for your life, or if you are scared of your partner, then call.
Absolutely.
Or talk to someone, a neighbor, a friend, co-worker, anybody.
Definitely. Well, thank you very much for coming into studio, and obviously if anyone's needs someone to talk to, then they can get in contact with you, is that right?
Absolutely.
Yep. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
For more information or to donate to the cause, phone 0800 Shakti or 0800 2 Refuge. Up next, World Elder Abuse Day. If you have just joined us, welcome to Central News. World Elder Abuse Day was on Saturday, and Hillary caught up with Age Concern to find out about how the day was celebrated in Tauranga.
How was Elder Abuse Day celebrated in Tauranga?
We had a wonderful event here. It's the second year we've done it. It's called a Purple Pamper Party, and professionals and others gave their time to pamper older people who don't normally get pampered. So there were massage therapists and Reiki and reflexology and shiatsu. Wonderful women's group did the morning tea. We had spot prizes, and about 30 people came along and got pampered. People who normally wouldn't treat themselves like that.
Why is it so important to raise awareness about elder abuse?
Many people don't know about elder abuse, and they don't know how to recognise it, what the signs are, or what to do about it.
How common is elder abuse?
Here in Tauranga, last year I received about 140 referrals for the year, and it's on the increase. Nationwide, about 1,600 referrals a year, and that's rising.
Can you please clarify what elderly abuse and neglect is?
The definition is, it is a single or repeated act or lack of appropriate action occurring within any relationship where there's an expectation of trust, which then causes harm to the older person.
Financial abuse is quite common, so what can family members do if they think that someone is taking advantage and asking for money or a loan?
They need to talk to somebody. They need to talk to somebody they trust, like their GP or their lawyer or their bank manager, or ring Age Concern, and we can give them the appropriate information or refer them on or help them as required.
Who is most likely to abuse the elderly?
It's very sad, but it's family members. 80% of abuse is perpetrated by family members, and half of that is by adult children.
What is Age Concern, and what do you guys do in our community?
Age Concern is an organisation that supports and advocates and empowers older people. It does this by education and having lots of groups and activities for older people, and it's a place where older people can come to if they have any query about ageing or activities.
So can you give us an example of some of those activities?
Age Concern Tauranga has a weekly card group that come along and play 500. And they have a craft group that meets once a week, a bunch of very lively ladies who come and enjoy each other's company. They do bus trips, they do monthly seminars to educate older people, and we also have an accredited, what we call the accredited visiting service, where socially isolated older people are matched up with a visitor.
Do you think there is an increasing disrespect for the older generation?
That's a very hard question, and it's hard to answer, but worldwide I think there's a lot of ageism and a lot of disrespect for older people. People tell me that when their hair turns grey that they become invisible.
What age are we talking? What kind of is the elderly?
65 plus is our client group.
Is Tauranga really the retirement capital of New Zealand?
I don't believe so. A lot of people do retire to Tauranga, but percentage-wise we don't have the highest population of older people in New Zealand. But like all of New Zealand, with the ageing population, we are very soon going to have a lot more older people than we are younger people.
Does it make it more important that we do have this ageing population, that there is more awareness about elder abuse and neglect?
Yes. Everybody needs to be aware. You need to be aware in your own family and in your community who's living there, making sure older people are included and valued.
Can you give us an example of what elder abuse is?
Well, there's different types of elder abuse. So as we've talked about before, there's the financial abuse, there's psychological abuse, which is huge, and that can be just denying the older person to make their own decisions or not respecting the older person's decisions. There's physical abuse, and there can even be sexual abuse, and obviously neglect is huge. Older people not providing the services that an older person needs.
Is neglect more common in retirement homes and retirement facilities or in the home?
Neglect can happen both in the home and in care, actually. You do find that rest homes can be very understaffed at times, and it means older people can be neglected. Yeah.
And what can we do to try and stop that neglect?
We need to be aware that it is happening. I think that's the biggest thing, draw awareness to the fact that it is happening, and I think the rest home owners need to be aware that they need to staff their rest homes fully and train their staff accordingly.
Visit ageconcern.org.nz if you have any concerns around elder abuse or neglect. That is the news for today. We really want you to be involved, so like us on Facebook and let us know your views. If you have any news, including your own video or photos, go to our website and hit upload. Thanks for joining us. Hilary will be back tomorrow with more guests from in and around the region. I'm Amy Forrest. Have a wonderful evening.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.